blacks commit more crimes than whites do.
Okay, well, first of all, what he means by blacks commit more crimes is, in fact, that African Americans are more often convicted of committing crimes in the United States than any other racial demographic, which is very different from what he said. All that indicates is that the so-called criminal justice system in the United States is primarily only effective in the selective investigation, prosecution, and conviction of African Americans and other so-called minorities, as opposed to investigating, prosecuting, and convicting white perpetrators. The statistics that he's citing are actually an evidence arguing racial bias in policing, in prosecution, and in trials. It's not an evidence of greater criminality along racial demographic lines, no. Rather, it's only the assignment of criminality that falls along racial lines. I mean, more than half of all violent crimes in the United States go unsolved, overwhelmingly the case in certain types of violent crimes. So we're not talking actually about a criminal justice system that works, that's actually effective, that's actually efficient, that actually does its job. What we have is a criminal justice system that disproportionately seems to only quote-unquote work when the perpetrators are not white. African-American victims of homicide, by the way, make up most of the victims of homicide cases that go unsolved, whereas most homicide cases in which the victim is white, those get solved. In other words, crimes against white people are more likely to get solved than crimes against African-American people or any other so-called minority group, a member of the global majority. And they're even more likely to get solved when the perpetrator of the crime happens to be African American. So in other words, if you're a white victim, you're more likely to get justice, and if you're a white perpetrator, you're more likely to escape justice. That's the system, and that's all that is evidenced by what he's saying. So when you look at the number of unsolved crimes, it's not unreasonable to assume that the, say, 60% or so of violent crimes in America that never get solved, that those are very possibly crimes committed by white people against African American people, or against other so-called minority groups. So rather than saying blacks commit more crimes than anyone else in America, it would be more honest to say that no one who commits a crime in America is more likely to be punished for that crime than an African American. And in fact, it's also more likely for an African American person to be wrongfully convicted of a crime of which they are accused. And it's more likely for them to even be punished for that, even when they have been proven innocent. And you can look at the case right now of Marcellus Williams. So the statistics that he's citing actually only substantiate the belief that the so-called criminal justice system in the United States is a major component of what you can call a systematic domestic ethnic cleansing program in America, being carried out against African Americans and other members of the global majority. That's all that is evidenced by the statistics that he's citing. And this, in fact, demonstrates a vastly greater degree of criminality than anything that he mentioned. And I would go further to say that the speaker himself, with the statistics that he's mentioning and the interpretation that he's putting on those statistics, that he himself occupies a propaganda role in that ethnic cleansing system, for which, in my opinion, he could and should be prosecuted under international law. So I really would hope that people would take this more seriously and understand the gravity of what so-called minority groups, members of the global majority, what they are facing and what they are enduring, and the human rights violations that are committed against them in the United States, that you would take that more seriously, so that when you see someone who is clearly playing a propaganda role in support of what, again, does constitute an ethnic cleansing program in America, when you see someone who is occupying a role of propaganda in support of that system, normalizing that system, justifying that system, rationalizing that system, understand that this person is a criminal. And inshallah, one day they will face justice for that, and should not be regarded simply as someone who is airing offensive or controversial views. No, you should take this more seriously, and not simply use it as an opportunity to have a debate with someone like this. They shouldn't be debated, they should be prosecuted.
Dig, Shalom, it's your brother Jonathan, alright? First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Wadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. Today we're going to expound upon the fact that the minds of the people here in this society, in this kingdom, it's all geared, everything's set up to paint out the Israelite man, all right, the nation, but predominantly the Israelite man, as the problem in society. So even more so when this devil comes with this demonization of the prophets, it's going to be easy for people to go along with it unless the Lord is dealing with them. Okay? This devil has casted a thick spell on the minds of the people to not look at him as the problem, which he is, but to look at the chosen people of the Lord. All right, so let's get some precepts. All right, so this is Revelation 12:10. It says, "And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ." All right, for the accuser of our brethren, that's one of the titles for Esau, the accuser of the brethren, is cast down. He's going to be brought down to that lower state, because right now he has dominion over the earth right now. Okay, but again, like I mentioned in the lesson earlier today, Genesis 27, all right, Jacob and Esau were given dominion over the earth, right? They were given a worldwide dominion, but Esau's has an expiration date, okay, and we're reading about that right now, which accused them before our God day and night. They set up their whole society to point the finger at the nation of Israel, to point the finger, or they structured it so that you're always viewed in a light as to where, you know, you're the problem. You're always viewed in a light unto where, you know, you're an unproductive member of society, or you only fit particular roles that he's painted you out to be. You're either a thug, an entertainer, athlete, comic relief. He's painted these stereotypes to everyone in the world that this is all this person is. So subconsciously, people view you as that. I seen a video. I want to run it for you guys. I seen a video clip earlier today about, they had an experiment where they put a bunch of teachers in front of a screen and they were watching 4 children at a table, and all these people that they were watching, they were teachers, and they said, we want you guys to press a button when one of these students act out at the table. But what the experiment really was about, it was tracking the eyes of the teachers to see which student they were watching the most. They had an Israelite boy at the table, they had an Israelite girl at the table, and they had an Edomite girl and boy at the table. So 4 kids in total. And what you'll find is, regardless of what nationality the teacher was, they all subconsciously watch the Israelite boy majority of the time. I'm gonna run the clip for you guys. Here it goes.
Teachers this video clip of 4 preschool students. Their instructions: look for misbehavior and click when you see it. The study was kind of deceptive. None of the kids in the video actually misbehaved. The researchers were using eye tracking software. What they actually wanted to study was who the teachers were watching. Both black and white teachers spent significantly more time watching the black boy in the video. This study showed that even preschool teachers can treat kids differently based on their race without even realizing it.
See, but we are renewed in the mind, right? So we're not under the spells that this devil has casted on the people any longer. We know who the real problem in the earth is, and we know how it's going to be solved. All right, but this is 2 Corinthians 4, and I'm gonna just start at verse 3. It says, "But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world," all right, and it lets you know who the God of this world is.
And the NLT, the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. And it's a lowercase g, okay? Not God is in the most high, the ultimate power, but they've been likened unto a God here to these people. Whatever Esau says, people just take it as fact. They take his theories as fact, when it's a theory and it changes all the time. All right, 2 Corinthians 4:4, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds through his media, through his narrative, okay? Through his education system, through many underhanded tactics. He's casted a spell on the minds of the people, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. Right, the people that believe not, who the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh is not dealing with, they fall victim to these spells. Lest the light of the glorious gospel of the Mashiach, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. You know, so hey, you gotta be grateful, man. Call Allah Yahweh Shem Yahweh that we're not under that spell anymore. Because once upon a time, before you were circumcised in the mind, you know, you would fall for a lot of the BS that this devil pushes in the earth. No longer. Right, we're sober-minded. So the question is, within this society, as an Israelite, are you to expect justice? No. No, of course not. Not for us here. We receive justice when the Lord returns. But the scriptures do say, when a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. So with that, there's a lot of shit you can evade by abstaining from all appearance of evil. There's a lot of things that you can evade by abstaining from partaking in black culture, in your speech, in your thinking, and in your doing. All right? But at the end of the day, this whole society was set up to paint you out to be the villain, when the true villain is the one that has the authority to push a narrative. You know, I seen this other clip today, and I'm like, I was looking, I'm like, is this real? And it just baffled me. They blamed this guy that worked at like a zoo trail or something. They blamed him for a murder that was clearly a bear attack. And they say he recently was let out of jail because the DNA proved that it wasn't him, it was a bear. But it was clear it was a bear from the jump. I was like, what? I want to show it to you guys.
James Marshall was sentenced to life without parole in 1996 for the mauling death of a state park hiker, Janet Kelly.
Now, I took one look at him and I knew he was the man that mauled and ate my daughter. Now that he's locked up, I pray to God that people can camp in that bear preserve without fearing for their safety.
Throughout his time in prison, Mr. Marshall maintained his innocence, claiming his jaws were not powerful enough to have inflicted the 6-inch deep bites covering Miss Kelly's body, and that he did not eat Miss Kelly's entire left leg and lower torso as charged. Panola police expressed shock at the news, as the evidence against Mr. Marshall had been overwhelmingly strong. Marshall worked as a guide at the Panola State Park Visitor Center and was definitively placed within a mile of the crime scene the day after the murder, even though employees had been warned against entering the park due to a rash of bear attacks at the time. The jury took just 20 minutes to reach a verdict, which most attributed to the perverse nature of the murder's details, which included a half-eaten fish found at the crime scene, leading Mr. Marshall to be known as the Salmon Killer. James Marshall was sentenced to life without parole.
So it is a very fitting title for this man to be called the accuser of the brethren. Just unrighteous decrees left and right, like it says in Isaiah 10:1. All right, but Abaratazah, the lesson was edifying. Okay, I want to give our praises once more to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. Shalom.